new topic that is dealing with the homeostasis. So homeo means same and stasis means state. That is how the term homeostasis comes. So homeostasis literally means having a similar state or having a same condition. That is the meaning of the word homeostasis. So what is the importance of homeostasis in a biological system? That is what we are going to study today. So here in this homeostasis we can start with the definition. Definition of homeostasis is the process by which biological system maintains stability. As I told you earlier, it is maintaining same condition. It is maintaining stability while adjusting to conditions that are optimal for their survival. For example, when we have a body temperature that is 37 degrees centigrade, even if the temperature is going below 5 degree, our body will be maintaining 37 degree. Or if it is going above 40, still our body will be made. So that is an example of homeostasis. It's the ability of our body to maintain a constant or stable condition. That is the definition of homeostasis, because it is very important for the body to maintain a balance in internal condition. If the temperature is keep on changing every time, that will be affecting the functioning of various. For example, when we have a fever and our temperature may increase from 37 to 38 or 39 or 40, then how our body will be reacting? You know the effect of a fever. We will be feeling quite uncomfortable, we will be feeling shivering, and in extreme cases that we will have to be in hospital. So that will be the effect of change in an internal condition. So the main function of homeostasis is to maintain a balance in internal condition, to maintain an equilibrium. Equilibrium means a state of steady state, and this is very much important for the survival of the species. Then, so here also you can find that the importance of homeostasis. What is optimal functioning? Optimal means the most efficient, the most best functioning. It ensures that enzymes and other protein function efficiently. For example, our body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. If temperature is decreasing below 37 degree, majority of our proteins and majority of our enzymes in our body will not work. It needs an ideal temperature. That ideal temperature is 37 degree. So that is a problem of a slight change in temperature. So if any condition in our body is changing, that will be affecting the functioning of almost all the organs. So that is why for efficient functioning of the body, we have to maintain a homeostasis. So enzymes and proteins are just one example. Another function of homeostasis is made survival. It helps organism to adapt to environmental changes. For example, if there is an increase in temperature, and during the summer months we are facing that. If during the month of April or May we are facing intense heat, but still our body is adjusting quite well, and because that adjustability is important for our survival. Then another condition is that maintaining the health. Maintenance condition within a range that prevents disease. For example, if too much heat or too much cold, and if we are exposed to too much heat or too much cold, and if our body is changing, that will be putting us susceptible to various kind of diseases. So for maintaining our proper health also, homeostasis is very important. Then what are the three important components of homeostasis? Normally in any homeostatic system there are three important components. One is sensor, control center, effector. These are the three various components of the homeostasis. Coming to sensor, sensor means anything. For example, our skin is a sensor. While if there is a change in temperature, we can immediately feel it with our skin. So skin can act as there are a lot of sense organs. Detectors are there that will be dictating the variation in temperature, and if there is any kind of wind is blowing, we can immediately feel that because of the various difference in pressure. So we have, our skin is provided with the different types of sensor. Temperature sensor, pressure sensor, and other types of sensors will be there. These sensors will be dictating changes in the environment. Then we have a control mechanism. For example, hypothalamus in our brain is a very good example of control mechanism, because hypothalamus is controlling the functioning of pituitary. Pituitary is sometimes called as a master gland, because it is secreting a lot of small hormones which is controlling the function of other hormones. So, but all these functioning will be actually under the control of a nerve center known by the name hypothalamus. So, hypothalamus in our brain is actually controlling, for example, how much ADH should be produced. That is actually controlled by hypothalamus. So, hypothalamus is controlling how the various hormones should be produced, how much of various hormones should be produced, how each nerve center should be responding. All these are under the control of hypothalamus. Then we have effectors, for example, sweat gland and muscle. So sweat gland, for example, when there is too much heat, our body will be producing too much sweat. So that is an example of an effector gland. So because too much heat is actually giving a message to hypothalamus to produce more sweat. So when there is more sweat, what happens is that more water will be coming on our skin. More water on the surface of our skin means more evaporation from our skin, and more evaporation will means cooling of our body. So that is why when there is a increase in temperature, our body is producing too much sweat. Sweat is basically water, and then water, evaporation of water will be leading to cooling of our body. So that is how. So this is an example of an effector. How a message given by hypothalamus or control center is producing an effect at the effector level. So sweat glands is an example. Muscles are example. Because of the movement of muscles, we are able to move different, our legs, our arms, our eyes. For example, if something is coming to your eye, you will immediately close your eye. That is an effect of a muscle. So that is these type of organs are actually coming under the category effector. So mainly in any homeostatic system, there are three types of organs components will be the sensors will be there, which dictate the changes in the temperature, changes or any kind of variation in the environment. Then a control center will be there, and finally effector organs will be there. So this is an idea regarding the components of homeostatic system. Then there are two different types of homeostasis generally. One is a negative homeostasis, the other is positive feedback. For example, the negative response reduces the effect of initial stimulus. For example, temperature regulation. In case of temperature regulation, that is a very good example of, for example, how our sweat glands are working. So this kind of mechanisms are coming under the category negative feedback. Then another is positive feedback. This kind of response amplifies. Amplifies means increase the initial stimulus. During a childbirth, if the initial contraction can lead to more intense contraction. So that is why that is placed under the positive feedback. So some kind of response will be increasing the effect of initial stimulus. So that will be placed under the category positive feedback. So regarding the type of homeostasis mechanism, we have both a negative feedback mechanism as well as positive feedback mechanism. Then there are various examples of homeostasis. We will see, for example, temperature regulation. The purpose of sweating is to cool down our body. Or shivering. For example, if you are sitting in an AC room, after some time you start shivering. What is the purpose of shivering? Shivering means that your muscles will be moving a little, and then movement of muscle, and that will be producing some heat. So that is why when we are facing intense cold, our body, our skin will be shivering, and that shivering will be producing more muscle movement, and more muscle movement will be warming up our body. Another example of homeostasis is blood sugar regulation. For example, two types of hormones are involved. One is insulin and glucagon. Or if more insulin is present in our blood, more glucose will be converted into glucagon. On the other hand, if there is a decrease in our blood sugar, what will happen? There is another hormone known as glucagon. Glucagon will be converting the glycogen present in the liver or in the muscle into the glucose and increasing the level of the glucose percent. So here two hormones, insulin and glucagon, is actually interplaying with one another and maintaining a constant level of blood glucose. Normally it will be around 100. So below 100. That is how our body's blood sugar mechanism is working. Another example is the fluid balance. For regulation of water, and for example, if you are drinking a lot of water, your kidney will be increasing the output of urine. So that is one big way by which the regulation of water and electrolytes by the kidney is happening. So here these are some of the examples for homeostasis in human beings. Now what happens if there is a disruption to homeostasis? Homeostasis means something that maintaining a stable environment. If that stable environment is broken, if that some kind of difficulties is experienced by this homeostatic mechanism, we will have different kind of disorder. For example, we will have disease. For example, diabetes. Diabetes is one of the best example. For example, earlier we have seen that there are two hormones, insulin and glucagon. If there is any problem with insulin, what will happen? That will lead to diabetes. So diabetes is basically a problem with insulin. That means the less than sufficient quantity of insulin may be present in our blood, and that will lead to more increase in blood sugar level. So that is known as a diabetes. Or there is another example is known as hyperthyroidism. So in this hyper means more, thyroidism means an increased production of enlargement of thyroid gland. So in case of hyperthyroidism, or in case of, there will be more secretion of thyroid hormone or thyroxine. And what happens is that if there is more thyroxine, your metabolic rate will be different, because that means you will be eating a lot. Even if, for example, if there is an increase in hyperthyroidism, that is a metabolic, it is a hormone that control our metabolism. That means almost all the organs of your body will be affected in the case of thyroid. So that is the problem of disruption to homeostasis. Diabetes is one example, hyperthyroidism is another example. Another kind of disruption to homeostasis is environmental stress. For example, extreme temperature. Extreme temperature is a good example. What will happen if too much cold or too much heat? Then dehydration. Dehydration means a loss of water from your body. Overhydration, too much water. For example, you are in water for a longer duration of time. You know what will happen to your skin. So these are different examples of how homeostasis is affecting, how any kind of difference in our homeostatic mechanism will be affecting your body. Then importance of homeostasis. One importance of homeostasis is that homeostasis is important for adaptation. Homeostatic mechanism allows organism to adapt to diverse environment. For example, human beings. Human beings are present almost everywhere on the earth. Why? Human beings have a capacity for homeostasis or adaptation. Because when we are in a desert country, we will be making clothes suitable for a desert climate. When we are in an Arctic country, we will be making clothes suitable for a cold condition. So by this mechanism, by this kind of behavioral mechanism, or by means of physiological mechanism, our body has a capacity to adapt to wide range of temperature or climatic condition. So only those animals which have that adaptation are able to survive in different parts of the world. For example, crow. Crow is present in diverse environmental conditions. Pigeon is present in diverse environmental conditions. So these animals have an adaptation. But some animals may not be able to survive in diverse environmental conditions because their body will be very much their body cannot work if the temperature or the pressure or any other salt condition. If even a minor variation in any of these conditions can adversely affect the working of these animals. Then another point with regard to evolution is that survival of species contributes to evolution of species by enabling them to survive in various habitats. For example, you may be noting that every animal, for example, there are different type of elephants are there. Elephants are present in Africa, elephants are present in Asia. But if you look at the nature of this elephant, they are different. Their nature, the nature of African elephant and nature of Asian elephant are all different. You take any group of animal, whether they are in the country, if they have migrated from one country to another. For example, my best example is a tiger. Tiger has been actually originated in Siberia. From Siberia, tiger has moved to different parts of the world. It reached India, Sri Lanka, etc. Not Sri Lanka, in many other parts of the South Asia. But the nature of tiger that we see in Siberia and other parts of India and Asia may be completely different because they have suitably adapted to those environmental conditions. So that ability for adapting to environmental condition is also a capacity of homeostasis. So that is regarding the homeostasis. Now along with the homeostasis we have another topic, that is thermal regulation. Now in case of thermal regulation, you can see that there are different types of thermal regulation. That is how our body will be managing the changes in temperature. That is what is coming under the thermal regulation. Our body will be using different types of mechanism. One mechanism is changes in behavior, and that will be known as a behavioral thermoregulation. So homeotherms often use behavioral strategies to manage their body temperature. What kind of animals are known as homeotherms? For example, human being is a homeotherm. Most of the mammals are homeotherms. Mammals are homeotherms, but amphibians are not homeotherms. What happened in the case of amphibians or reptiles? Changes in environmental temperature will immediately result in the change of their body temperature. So such animals are known as heterotherms, but all mammals are homeotherms, because mammals often use behavioral strategies to manage their body temperature. So when there is for example, what we are doing, if there is too much cold, we will be sitting inside the house. So that kind of changes is known as a behavioral example. For example, they might seek shade. If when we are walking in the sun, if you are sent to ground, what most of the people, they will be immediately going under that tree. So that is a behavioral response. Then adjust our posture for example, if too much cold, how we will be sleeping, you know that. Then the changes in the activity level, all these will be affecting affecting our temperature regulation, and they will be coming under the category behavioral thermoregulation. Then there is physiological thermoregulation, or physiological mechanism will be there. One is known as sweating and panting. So for example, sweating means the production of sweat from our skin. Panting means the dog will be showing panting. For example, when a dog is running for some time, that its tongue will be out and it will be breathing very fast. That is known as a panting. That is also a mechanism to increase the heat loss. So these are some examples of physiological mechanism. Another kind of physiological mechanism is vasodilation. Vasodilation means dilation of veins or dilation of blood vessel, and vasoconstriction means contraction of blood vessel. So blood vessel can widen or narrow to regulate heat exchange in man. For example, when we are living in a colder environment, thus the blood vessel that will be reaching our skin surface, that will be contracting. Not contracting, that will be dilating. So then more blood will be coming to that region, and that will be also helping in the helping to increase the temperature of our skin. So these are some of the mechanisms by which our body is actually controlling managing the heat. Then shivering. This generates heat through muscle contraction in response to cold. That is why when we are facing too much cold, our body is shivering. We feel, and that movement of our body during a shivering will be creating a lot of muscle contraction, and that will be increasing your body heat. So that is why. So these are examples of physiological mechanism. So in the case of most of the animals, thermoregulation is either achieved by behavioral thermoregulation or physiological thermoregulation, or by some kind of metabolic adjustment. Now, going to metabolic adjustment, homeotherms are animals that can alter means change their metabolic rate to produce or conserve heat. So that is an example of metabolic adjustment. In cold conditions, some animals can enter a state of torpor. Torpor means a kind of inactivity or sleep or hibernation to lower their metabolic rate and conserve energy. Because polar bear is an animal that shows hibernation. During extreme cold, what they are doing, they will be making a burrow and sleeping inside the burrow for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. So, and during that time, the animal is in a complete sleep. and their body temperature may be reduced from normally if it is 37, it may be coming down to 20 or something, so that they may not need much energy for keeping their body alive. So this kind of method is known as a hibernation or torpor, and that is also a mechanism for dealing with extreme condition. So polar bear is showing that during extreme cold, many fishes are showing that, lungfishes are showing that. So if they're during extreme summer, they will be making burrows and will be sleeping inside, which we call as aestivation. So this kind of metabolic adjustment animals are doing. So these are the examples of thermal regulation. So coming to thermal regulation, you have to explain what is behavioral thermoregulation, then physiological thermoregulation, metabolic thermoregulation. So these are the different types of events which are coming under thermoregulation. And similar to thermoregulation, there is another topic, that is thermal adaptation. So how animals are adapting to changes in temperature. That will be coming under the term thermal adaptation. One is acclimatization. Over time, homeostates acclimatize to their environment. For example, you are going to Canada. In Canada, the temperature is very cold. In the first 2-3 months, you will be facing too much difficulty. But after a period of time, your body gradually adjusts. Then after 1 year or 2 year or 3 years, if you are living there for 5 years, your body may not be showing too much problem with the air cold, because why you have gradually acclimatized or adjusted with that climate. That situation is known as acclimatization. This involves physiological adjustment that animals are making to cope with the changes in temperature. So you go to Munnar and staying there for 1 month or 2 months. After 2-3 months, you may not feel cold that much, because your body has increased, has made a lot of changes that might have increased the amount of fat in your body. All these will be helping in better adjusting to the environment. Animals might develop thicker fur coat. Fur means hair. So when animals are living in colder countries, you think of polar bear, they have a thicker coat. So when animals are living in colder countries, they develop more hair or fur or more efficient cooling mechanism. For some animals like a camel, which are living in desert-like situation, they have a better cooling mechanism for controlling their body temperature. So only such animals will be able to live there. So even if we are going to such animals which are going to those desert conditions, they will be also adjusting, making a lot of physiological and metabolic adjustment to cool their body more efficiently. Otherwise, they may not be able to survive there. Then evolutionary adaptation. The second kind of adaptation is known as evolutionary adaptation. Evolutionary adaptation, long-term adaptation, that involves genetic changes or changes in gene. Species might evolve traits that enhance their ability to regulate temperature effectively. So, for example, our people are living in Canada, and they are having babies. Those babies will be having better, what we call cold adaptation. They have born the. So just like that, any animal which will be moving to a different area will be developing a suitable kind of adaptation, and some of this adaptation will be gradually passing to the next generation. And these are the examples of evolutionary adaptation. Animals living in extremely cold environment might have more efficient insulating layer or specialized blood flow adaptation. And some of this adaptation, for example, you might have studied in Darwinism, those animals which have some of the traits which parents are developing usually will pass on to the next generation, and either by Darwinism or by Lamarckism, these are actually transmitted to the next generation, and most of the time that involve some kind of genetic change also. So these are examples of evolutionary adaptation. Then life history adaptation. Some species have adapted to life history stages to cope with the temperature extreme. For example, they might breed at times of the year that align with optimal temperature. For example, in the case of certain birds, many birds are coming from Siberia to Kerala. During a cold in Siberia, they will be coming to Kerala. Why? Because that the cold of the Siberian place may not be suitable for their breeding. They come to Kerala, breed here, then go back to Siberia. Such kinds of birds are there. So these are all changes in life history. So they may be breeding or undergoing reproduction at a time which is more favorable, and environmental temperature will be most favorable or for the growth of the babies or children. So, or they will be making suitable behavioral adjustment to reduce exposure to extreme temperature, either by making some kind of deliberate changes in behavior or by moving away or to a different place. Many of the animals will be surviving this extreme weather. Then specialized structures will be developing. Some homeothems have evolved specialized structures for temperature. For example, larger ears in desert animal. Larger ears will be able to dissipate when transfer heat, and thick layer of blubber. For example, whales. Whales are animals which are living in cold water, and they have a thicker layer of fat below their skin. Purpose is to protect this animal from extreme cold. So these are examples by which animals are making special structures for adjusting with either cold situation or warm extreme heat. So larger ear in desert animal is an example for coping with extreme heat, and similarly thicker layer of fat or blubber in marine animal is also an example. And this mechanism and adaptation allow homeothems to survive in a wide range of environment, from Arctic region to, so you take mammals. Most of the mammals are present in most, because mammals have one important capacity. They have their homeotherm, and because they are homeotherm, they are maintaining a constant body temperature. You think of amphibians and reptiles. Go to Arctic region or go to Antarctic region, we cannot find so much amphibians. We cannot find so much reptiles also there, because they are heterotherms or poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals. They won't be able to survive longer time in such an extreme cold, because their body, what happens is that if the temperature of the environment is reduced, their body temperature will also decrease. So that problem, if it is going below a 20 degree or something, most of the animals may not be able to survive well. So okay, so that is regarding the nature of homeostasis. Then there are three topics are there. One is thermal adaptation. Another topic is thermal regulation. Then you have to find some examples of homeostasis. Then what are the types of homeostasis, components of homeostasis, and what is the definition of homeostasis.